Good afternoon, students, online as well as offline. Students online, can you listen to me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And can you see the slides?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Am I audible? Last?
Yes, sir.
Not audible? Okay. So how was your exams? So the syllabus for the mid-sem exam, I will send any official email after consulting with other subject teachers. And the topic, let us continue on the topic, right? The topic that we were discussing in the last lecture, that was Unit 6, pipeline and vector processing. And we discussed this concept of parallel processing and pipeline processing. And we saw the comparison also with analogy of laundry system, right? Washer and dryer and folding person. And this also we discussed up to this point, right? How to have pipelining for operations. Now, the next question is, which can be asked in exam, is Flynn's classification or Flynn's taxonomy of classification for parallel processors. So Flynn's taxonomy uses two basic concepts. One concept is with reference to how we can have a parallel system for instructions. Right? See, the program is stored in program memory. Data is there in the data memory. Now, depending on whether the architecture is von Neumann or the architecture is Harvard architecture, data memory, program memory can be in the single physical memory also, or can have a separate memory also, right? Depending on which kind of architecture is there. If there is a single memory, then different memory locations are allocated for program memory, different memory locations allocated for data memory. In any case, program is there in the program memory, data is there in the data memory. Now, the transfer of bits between the program memory and ALU, that is what our instruction stream, and most of the time this transfer is one directional from program memory to data memory, because control unit has to just send a signal along with the value of program counter, that from which memory location instruction has to be fetched. Of course, many times whenever there is a branching instruction or update on the instruction only, then ALU will also send data to program memory also. It is not that there is only one directional, but most of the times data is read from the program memory to ALU. And then data stream, that is the communication between ALU and data memory. Here the operands which are fetched from the data memory, on which operation has to be performed, or once the operations are performed, instructions are executed, the results which are stored back into the data memory, that is data stream. So the Flynn's taxonomy uses the two concepts. One is parallelism of instruction stream, and second is a parallelism of data stream. So if we consider that we have n number of CPU system, now we have multi-core CPUs, right? We have n CPU system that has n number of program counter, and so that different CPUs are able to execute different instruction at the same time, the n number of instruction stream can be executed in parallel. In my laptop, there is a Core i3 processor. So there are 3 CPUs on the chip. So at a time, 3 different instructions can be executed in parallel. So that depends on how many cores are there. Then data stream can be used as a sequence of data, meaning the operands which are read or operands which are stored in the data memory, depending on the how many data bus we can use, and it is possible that one CPU is able to communicate with multiple data memory. That is also possible, but sequencing has to be maintained. So this data stream and instruction stream, basic 4 possible plans classification are there. So you can see that on the y-axis we have instruction stream, x-axis we show data stream. What is the possibility? Either a single instruction can be executed at a time, or what we want to do in the parallel processing is multiple instructions getting executed at a time. So at that time there will be multiple instruction stream. Similarly for the data stream also, single data stream communication between ALU and data memory, or multiple data streams possible at a time. 4 different classifications are possible. Yes or no? The first one is single instruction stream, single data stream. These are our conventional processors, uniprocessor, right? There is only one core, and the core is able to execute only one instruction at a time. And data is also on one of the operands that are read from the data memory. On that operations are performed. So these are all uniprocessor, single instruction stream, single data stream. Then next possibility is single instruction stream, multiple data stream. So these are those processors which can execute only one instruction at a time, but the data on which instructions are executed, the data need not to be only from one data memory or only from one data stream. Data can be from multiple data streams. So the operands on which operations to be performed, they can be from multiple data streams, but instruction is only one instruction at a time gets executed. So most of the time our pipelining concept falls into this category, right? Because instructions are getting executed, it is possible that the operands are from different data streams. SIMD, single instruction stream, multiple data stream. Next is multiple instruction stream, single data stream. Over here, the possibility, these kind of systems are not much popular for commercial applications, like for laptop or computer that we purchase. Most of the time, this type of system is not there. Right? See the logic. What is happening over here? Multiple instructions can get executed at a time, but all instructions are operating on the same data. It is possible that one operation is addition, another operation is subtraction, another third operation is multiplication, but different instructions operating on the same operands. Data stream is only one, right? So same data is used to perform multiple operations. So this kind of system is not much popular in commercial applications, but especially in the manufacturing companies where they need to devise algorithms for fault tolerance, right? At that time such processors are used, because at that time data is only one data. Now on that data, when we apply the different operations, what is the result that we want? So in such specific applications, this kind of processors are useful. MISD, multiple instruction stream, single data stream. And the last one is multiple instruction stream, multiple data streams. So here there are multiple cores, multiple instructions can get executed at a time, and the operands can come from various data streams. So these are typical our regular day processors what we are using, like Core i3, Core i5, Core i7. They are all MIMD. Even your mobile phone, Snapdragon 658 or 658, that also has multiple cores. So one by one at a time, in the SISD, single instruction, single data stream, the instruction which is pooling by using program counter and instruction register, that is a different system. So that system is shown over here as a instruction pool. And the data using data register, data bus, data memory, that is the data pool. And both instruction and data, they are pooled, and processing unit performs operation on opcodes of instruction and operands data. So this kind of processors which falls into this classification, SISD. So these processors can do only one job or one task at a time from start to finish, and a sequential computer which exploits no parallel operation on either instruction or data streams, they fall into this category. Here a single control unit fetches instructions from instruction memory, and the control unit is also able to generate signals for direct signal processing on the processing element, as well as on the to generate control signal for the processor, as well as the data which is to read from the data memory. So this is one example, right? First instruction is load register A. So when this instruction gets executed, signals are sent. First two, because this instruction must be there in program memory, load A instruction must be written somewhere in the program memory. So when this instruction needs to get executed, first it has to load into ALU, not exactly ALU, but where? Into instruction register. So the program counter will have the address of this instruction, where it is in the program memory, in which register, and then that is read from the program memory into instruction register, right? That we know, unit 1, unit 2, right? Once the instruction is in the instruction register, then it gets decoded what instruction wants to do, right? So first thing is fetch the instruction, then decode the instruction. Now if the instruction requires some operands, then signals need to be generated for operand, right? At that time, the location to read or write the data, that is in the data register. Yes or no? The data is read from the data register, from the memory to data register, or data register to memory. and that addresses are then put on the data bus, from which address to read data or to write data. Yes or no? When the operands are loaded into internal register, here the operation is to load the operand from memory location to register A. Register A is on ALU. Memory is outside the CPU, right? And so that operand is read and loaded into register A. Simple operation. Then second operation, load B. Third operation, perform addition on the content of A and B and store the result in register C. And then this data from C needs to be stored into some memory location, that is fourth instruction. Then the data from register B is used to calculate the updation of content in register A, and that is again stored into memory location. These are the different instructions, but all instructions are executed one at a time. Yes or no? So the time is shown over here. One by one, each instructions get executed. Are you with me, students online? Dev, Aman,
Yes, sir.
Ashish, Zenith. Okay. Then we see the second category, single instruction but multiple data. Here you see the instruction is common, right? Addition, perform addition. But the data are different. In one case, the data is into register A and B. In the second case, data is in register D and G, E and E. And the third case, data is in the register G and H. There are other instructions which are shown with ... but this kind of task, which is highlighted for this, that can be done with the processors which are fall into this category, where single instructions needs to be executed on multiple different data. So at that time, our instruction pool is only one, which is able to pull only one instruction at a time. But data streams are multiple possible. So data pool is able to have multiple possible data streams with processing unit. And then processing unit receives the instructions as well as the data and performs operations on the instructions. Performs operations on the operands, like this example. So a single instruction operates on multiple different data streams, and instructions can be executed sequentially, such as pipelining, or in parallel. It is not that it is always pipelining. Once instruction is fetched, that is going to be executed on different data. So either that is executed one by one, or that is executed in parallel. If we have multiple processors available, why not to use it? But this classification has no such requirement that there has to be pipelining or there has to be parallel processing. Right? The classification is simple. One instruction gets executed at a time. One instruction gets executed at a time. But this execution can be on different data, on different data streams. Right? So single instruction, multiple data. This is the execution model which is used in parallel computing, where a single instruction and multiple data is combined with multi-threading. Yes. No. Pipelining and parallel are not same thing. Let us go back. See what is happening in the parallel processing. Multiple cores are able to execute multiple instructions at the same time. What happens in the pipelining concept? One instruction gets divided into different tasks, right? Task A1, A, B, C, D, they are different tasks. So resources which are available, they are efficiently utilized. So you can see that for a task A1, initially one processor is starting a task A1. When at the next time the processor 1 is performing a task B1, at that time the processor can start a task A2. So these two are happening in parallel. But not all the instruction gets executed in parallel. Here what happens? All the instructions gets executed in parallel. Here what happens? Instructions are divided into tasks, and depending on the resources which are available, this task can be parallelized in a manner like a pipelining concept. So both are not same. Even you are all are computer engineers, right? You must have done settings of your computer, right? How many cores to use at a time. So if you are using all the cores, all the CPUs, that means you are doing parallel processing. But these multiple complex processor has also the facility of pipelining also. Even one core can perform the pipelining concept. Because see, once the data is to be read, data is read from the program memory into instruction register. Then that instruction register, once the data is decoded from that instruction register, then that register is free now. When the execution step happens, at that time, there is no need of instruction register. So that instruction register can then be used to load the next instruction, right? Start with the program counter. Which instruction to load, that is there in the program counter. So during our first clock cycle, when the control unit generates signal and data is read from the program memory, address is in the program counter, and the instruction is fetched from the program memory into instruction register. Once that task is done in the first clock cycle, then what is the need of program counter? That can be updated for the next instruction to execute. So that task can be done in parallel. So SIMD we were discussing. Here parallel processing, pipelining, both can happen. Same operation on multiple data. You must have used multi-threading options many times. What is it doing? Same operation. For example, you are using some IDM download manager, right? That is downloading data from, you are downloading some file and it is opening multiple threads. What it is doing? It is establishing multiple connections, right? The operation is simple, transfer data. Operation is simple, transfer data. But the data is different. So different ports are open on the server side. On the receiver side, this manager has the ability to get multiple data. Each data packet will have its sequence number. So it can rearrange the data and make a whole file. That is multi-threading. The operation is same operation, data transfer, but data are different. The next, these are the classifications of different kinds of processors possible. Next is multiple instruction single data. Over here, multiple instructions operate on one data stream. This is the uncommon architecture, as I told you earlier, which is not most popular, but it is used for the application of fault tolerance. Right? Like for example, I'm designing a chip, and when I'm designing a chip, let us say I have designed one decoder circuit. You know the decoder circuit? Now this decoder circuit is designed, and after designing, before it is manufactured, a lot of verification steps also happens. Right? We need to test whether all the designs are correct. Right? At different points, all the result by one task, like there is one AND gate or one OR gate, the output of that gate is as per requirement or not. Right? That needs to be checked. So many times what will happen, at different test points are put. The test point data is common, but which operation to check for those test point data? Do we need to check logical ORing, logical ending? See, any complex instruction, like in mathematics, you must have studied so many different instructions. Right? Most of the time, it will involve multiplication and addition. Right? Some two data are multiplied and then added, but the instruction would require multiple times this thing. And so, to do some task, let us say I want to execute operation which checks for let us say sorting of an array, or another operation is to find out what is the SVD, singular value decomposition. Maths, is it there? So, or let us say there is a simple task to finding roots of the polynomial. Right? At that time, the input data is common, but different tasks are done, different instructions are there. So data is common, but various instructions are executed. So most of the time in such systems where we need to check the fault, right? The data is coming from a single source, but different operations need to be done on that data. And to have this efficiently, these kind of processors are available, which can perform multiple operations on single data. You can see that multiple instructions, instruction pool is complex, data pool is simple data, but processing unit is able to process on the single data multiple operations. This is the example. Let us say the data from the data pool is loading the data into register A and register B. Here there are multiple processing units also, but the same data is loaded, and the operations done are different processing units are performing different operations on the same data. Is this clear? Now the last class is multiple instructions, multiple data. So multiple processing units are there. At a time, multiple instructions can be fetched by using instruction pool, or multiple data are also possible from various data streams. So this is a true multiprocessor. This processor is true multiprocessor because this is able to perform various tasks on various datas compared to SIMD and MISD. So when all the processors, when all the processor in MIMD are running at the same time, we can call this single program multiple data. Remember, multiple instruction, multiple data. But in one program, there are multiple instructions. So such processors are also called as single program and multiple data. Single program will have multiple instructions. And this is the most widely used model right now. Right? As I told you that the general purpose processors which right now we have, they are all MIMDs. The example is there. Different data load A and B into register A and B, and then these data are done operation of addition. In parallel, another task is done where the data is loaded into register D and E, and the task is of multiplication. And in the third case, data are loaded into register G and H, and the task is subtraction. At the same time, different data are loaded on different processors, different instructions are also loaded on different processors, and all processing units are performing different tasks on different data. True multiprocessor, MIMD. Is this clear? Which one? जो हमारे कमर्शियल अभी प्रोसेसर्स अवेलेबल हैं, राइट, वो सब ट्रू मल्टी प्रोसेसर्स हैं. The processor has the ability to pull multiple instructions at the same time, perform various operations at the same time, and that operations are done on different data, not on the same data but different data. Here you see one processor is having a data A and B, and the operation is addition. Another processor is having data in register D and E. That is not the same data, different data, and the operation is also different. And the third one is data in G and H, and that operation is also different. So this is multiple instructions getting executed at the same time on various different data streams, and the result are also stored in different registers or memory locations. And so this is the class what we call MIMD, multiple instruction, multiple data, or single program, multiple data, or true multiprocessor. This is a multiprocessor. See, go back. This is also multiprocessor, MISD. This has multiple processing unit which is able to perform various operations. But what is the limitation? Operations are done on the same data. So where is the lag? Lag is over here, this communication. I would not use the word efficiency for this. So this is one class, okay? It is possible, depends on the application. Where is our application? There are applications where such architecture is useful. This our laptops we are using for general purpose. We are using it to watch a movie also. We are using it to write a program also. We are using it to do office work also, right? So this has to do multiple tasks. So these are not some fixed kind of need, and so they are all MIMDs. Is it clear? Okay. Online students, please write in the chat box. Is that clear? One student has written. What about others? Why Ruma is writing your enrollment number? I am asking, is it the topic clear or not? Board. Now let us see the next question which can be asked. Now these are all questions which are already asked in the examinations. Okay. Okay, the question is that in SISD there is no parallelism. Correct. The name itself is uniprocessor. The question is, what are the types of, what is the classification of processors as per Flan's taxonomy? So as per the Flan's classification of different processors which are possible, the first case is there is no parallelism. That is SISD. There is no parallelism. And then different parallelism. Parallelism on data, parallelism on instruction, then parallelism on both. Right? So this is not a classification of parallel processor. This is classification of overall all the processors possible. That's the point? Not a classification of only parallel processor. This is a classification of whole processor community. So SISD is also a class like our 8085, what we learn in our lab. That is single instruction, single data. At a time it can execute only one instruction at a time. Okay. The next question is that explain the pipelining technique and draw general structure of 4-segment pipeline. Here a specific question is asked. We have to discuss 4-segment instruction pipeline. Or another question which is asked, like discuss 4-segment instruction pipeline with diagram, or elaborate on 4-segment instruction pipeline with neat sketches. These are the questions which are already asking earlier question papers. So what is the general structure for a pipeline? Okay, let us consider that this is one operation which has to be done in pipelining. Now we are going to pipelining, not parallel. So what are these S1, S2, S3, S4? These are all different combinational circuit. S1, S2, S3, S4. These are different combinational circuits. Some circuit can be adder, some circuit can be subtractor, some circuit can be decoder, some circuit can be encoder or multiplexer. These are all combinational circuits. Or you have some Boolean expression that you implement with combinational circuit, right? So these are all such combinational circuits which will perform some fixed task. One combinational circuit is able to perform one task. Yes or no? Adder circuit will perform addition, subtractor will perform subtraction. And then the result of the task, where it is stored in register. So R1, R2, R3, R4, they are all registers. Now registers are not combinational circuits. Registers are sequential circuits made with flip-flops. Right? And so you can see here triggering is shown. And clock is given as an input. Now this symbol is which kind of triggering? Edge triggered and positive edge triggered. Right? These are the registers. Now you see segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, segment 4. Pardon again? ये फैन की वजह से आवाज बहुत स्लो आ रही है आपकी. This is not a counter, these are registers. But all the registers require clock signal. Na? So, same clock is used for all the registers. Okay, okay. So there is one observation. Yours is not a question, but it is an observation, right? That this looks like single input, single output kind of thing. Here, that is not the purpose. The question is, we need to study how pipelining is possible. So what we have right now, observe that there are 4 different segments. Segment 1 S1, segment 2 S2, segment 3 S3, segment 4 S4. Each segment is some different circuit, different combination circuit, which is doing some different task. So far with me? Now, how we are going to use these segments while designing the architecture? That is the question. So, what is in the normal manner? Normal manner, you can say that segment 1 will do one task, and then task of segment 1's output is stored in register R1. That R1's data is input for segment S2. That is stored in R2. So, in normal flow, to perform one operation, how much amount of time will be taken? Let us say this segment takes time T1, this segment takes time T2, this segment takes time T3, and this segment takes time T4. So total time is T1 plus T2 plus T3 plus T4. That is the total time taken by all 4 segments to do one task or to do operation on one input data. That is without pipelining. There is no pipelining. But if we perform pipelining, when there is one input, input 1, let us say I1, at that time, that is input to segment 1, result is in R1. Once result is in R1, segment 1 is free now. So at that time, when the segment 2 is performing operation on the result of R1, can't we use segment 1 to operate on second data? Right? That is pipelining. So that is shown over here with space-time diagram. So here we have our 4 segments, segment 1, 2, 3, 4. These are our 4 segments. You can see that in the first clock cycle, segment 1 is doing a task of operating on first input data. So that is shown with time T1. That is shown with time T1. So T1 we can consider task 1. That is our task 1. Then the same task which is performed by the segment 1's answer, that will be result in R1, and S2 will operate on that task. So that is our task 1 propagated to segment 2. Task 1 propagated to segment 2. Then in the third cycle, the same task will be in result R2, and that will be operated by segment S3. So task T1 is now in segment 3 in third clock cycle. In the fourth clock cycle, task T1 will be in segment 4. So far with me? Now this is normal operation which would have occurred if there is no pipelining. Right? Task 1 done by segment 1. Task 1 over here, what do we mean by it? There is one lot, one operand, data on which task is done. One total task is given, and that task is segmented in S1, S2, S3, S4. let me complete. See, you want to execute one instruction to calculate Fourier series. You study Fourier, or Fourier series is too long, let us say Fourier transform. There are only certain elements, right? What is that equation? Summation of one term and another term. So multiple times multiplication and addition are done. Now the equation is on, there is a common task, but the task can be divided into multiplication, addition, multiplication, addition. Like that we can divide the task. So the whole task is one, but the task is divided into small tasks like T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, T6. Okay? And the capability to execute the task, the resources, right? Adder circuit, multiplier circuit. They are our segment S1, segment S2, segment S3, segment S4. Okay? So now the task 1 is executed by segment S1, then it will be executed by S2 and S3 and S4. In 4 clock cycle, task 1 gets completely executed. Observe, now when the segment 1 is done with the task 1, that is done free, so it can then take up task 2 in the 2nd clock cycle. That is second task, different task. Now what is the operation to be done? That is depending on the segment's capability to execute, whether it is addition or subtraction, whatever it is. But segment is doing now a different task, task 2. So suppose there are 6 different tasks. So the segment would be able to complete all 6 tasks in 6 clock cycle, one segment. But second segment, how much time will it require to complete the 6 tasks? 7. Because it cannot directly perform tasks. It has to wait for the input which is available in register R1. So first task T1, when it is executed by segment 1, the result is available in R1. Till that time segment 2 has to wait to start operations. So now you see 7 clock cycles taken by segment 2 to complete 6 different tasks. Total 7 clock cycles taken by segment S2 to complete 6 different tasks. How much time taken by segment S3? 8 clock cycles. 6 tasks, but it has to wait till the result is available in R2. So initial time is waiting time for segment S2. So in 9 clock cycles, how many tasks are done? 6 tasks are done in 9 clock cycles. If we would have not done the pipelining, then what would be the scenario? If we would have not done the pipelining, task 1 will require 4 clock cycle. Task 1 in first clock cycle executed by S1, second clock cycle executed by S2, third clock cycle executed by S3, fourth clock cycle executed by S4. 4 clock cycle required to complete task 1 by all 4 segments. If we have not done the pipelining, then next task to pick up, it will have to wait for first task to get complete by all 4 segments. So in that case, to complete 6 tasks, how many clock cycles would have taken? T1 to T6. It would have taken 24 clock cycles. And with the pipelining, how much clock cycles does it require? Only 9. कितना टाइम सेव किया? 15 clock cycles just for 6 tasks. Now see, more the number of tasks, better the efficiency of this pipelining concept. There are some other terms also, which is what we call speed up. Now there is a pipelining concept. We have understood how it is working, but there has to be some parameter na, to decide that this much is the speed up. This is the efficiency, right? Like the task which could have been completed in 24 clock cycle, now we are able to complete in only 9 clock cycle. So what is the ratio? 24 by 9. That is the markup. This is the efficiency what we have achieved by this pipelining concept. So that speed up that we will see in the next lecture. Now the meeting is open for questions. Questions? Online students, questions? Okay. So now I request you to write your attendance in the chat box. Is it available? Not yet available. Okay. I request you to write your attendance in the chat box. I will write your names only. Umang, Sonu Kumar.
Hello,
Sonu
sir.
Yadav.
Kelvi. Hello. Hello.
Vicky.
Hello, good afternoon, sir. Hello. Hello. किसको attendance डाला?